Welcome into Hyundai Sunday. A big crowd on hand for a hot Sunday afternoon here at SunTrust Park as we get you ready for the series finale between the Orioles and the Braves. Atlanta coming into today sitting pretty, 43-32. They are still in first place in the NL East with a game and a half up above the Philadelphia Phillies. They got the Orioles today trying to avoid the sweep. Brandon McCarthy will be taking the mound for Atlanta, and he will take on David Hess. But like we mentioned, a huge crowd on hand, and the home crowds have been phenomenal. A beautiful day for baseball here at home, and we are just minutes away from this series finale, and Brandon McCarthy taking the mound for Atlanta. We have Orioles and Braves. Game 3 with Chip and Joe is next.
Xfinity delivers the fastest internet with the best in-home Wi-Fi experience. And by Delta Airlines.
It's a hot, steamy day at SunTrust Park in Atlanta as the Braves and Orioles wrap up this three-game series. Braves try to send Baltimore packing, and Atlanta hoping to pick up a win in this three-game series. Somewhat surprisingly, the Orioles have come to town, Joe, and have outslugged Atlanta in the first two games of this series. And so the challenge for Brandon McCarthy, number one, pitch a lot of innings and keep the Orioles under control in game 3.
Absolutely. We've talked about how the Braves have not been able to get a few runs in from third base to less than 2 outs in this series. But really, it's not the offense, it's pitching. The offense is scoring enough runs, plenty of runs to win ball games. In fact, they had 7 through 9 innings the other night here in game 1 of this series, and that wasn't enough. It had to go extra innings. So if the pitchers can toe the rubber, hold them down a little bit, give the offense a chance to get on track, I think it'll be a big difference maker today. And that means Brandon McCarthy will be on the mound for his 15th start of the year. He's been good in day games, 2-0, a 2.82 ERA, and has faced the Orioles a lot in his career, but not since 2014. 34 years old, almost 35, 6'8", 225 out of Colorado Springs. His 4 keys to pitching success today. Number 1, get off to that good start. Hold them down for a few innings. Try to keep them off the scoreboard early. Give the offense a chance to give you some support. And then 8 days a week. You know that Beatles song, right? Yeah. Sing it to me just a little bit. Oh, never mind. 8 days a week. It's been 8 days since Oh, go ahead then.
No. You ruined it for everybody. No, I'm not going to cooperate.
It's been 8 days since he has pitched, so there's going to be a little bit of focus on his fastball location. He's given up 5 home runs in his last 16 innings, so fastball location will be important here early since he hasn't been out on the mound in a while, and try to keep the ball in the ballpark.
If James Carden were here, you would definitely get the 8 days a week, son.
Yes.
But I'm not going to participate.
What a great show that was.
I can't wait to see it. Toyota starting lineup for Baltimore. The Orioles at 23 and 52. Colby Rasmus will lead off for Buck Showalter's band. Orioles have not won 3 consecutive games on the road at any point this year. They try to do that here in Atlanta today. Rasmus hitting $161 with a homer and an RBI, 31 at bats, 17 strikeouts. And Brandon McCarthy's first pitch in over a week is up and away, and we are underway. 88 degrees with humidity to match, I would guess. A few puffy clouds overhead, but a steamy day for game 3. And there's a pretty pitch. It's an even count. It's really amazing how baseball works in this regard. Just when you think you've got everything lined up the way you want and things are starting to percolate and roll well for you, there always seems to be that proverbial bump in the road that can throw things off kilter for a ball club. As Rasmus fouls one back. Think back to what the Braves did on their last homestand. They won 5 of 6 games. The starting pitchers gave up 1 or no runs in virtually every one of those games here in Atlanta. And then all of a sudden, Soroka has the back of the shoulder problem. Mike Foltynewicz has the triceps problem. Julio kind of tweaked his ankle or had that cramp after he threw his last pitch the other day, and had the thumb issue too. And this one's hitting the air towards shallow center. Ender comes charging in. He is going to slide, and he is not going to catch it. I think it was Camargo that caught it. Johan Camargo ranging out to shallow center makes a beautiful over the shoulder catch for the first out.
What a nice play. Ender broke back on this initially and had to try to then come in, and Camargo never gave up on it. Boy, that was close, but a nice play, brilliant play.
So Rasmus retired for the game's first out. That brings up Adam Jones. And so with all of the Braves starters pitching so well, McCarthy, it appeared, was going to be kind of the odd man out for Atlanta. He was in the bullpen. And in that 15-inning game that we had open up this series, he was next man up after Peter Moylan. He was going down to the pen to warm up just in case he was needed. Sadly, he wasn't. But so with Soroka going back to the DL, Foltynewicz coming off the DL tomorrow. Braves needed McCarthy to pitch today, and here he is, 8 days between starts.
And it's really tough, even as a veteran, to stay sharp. Take a few pitches to get his release point, get his bearings out there.
Jones tried to bunt unsuccessfully. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Charlie Culberson's going to get a complex if they keep trying that.
Charlie's getting the start at third base today. Camargo at shortstop for Dansby Swanson. And Danny Santana back in the lineup in left for Brian Snitker, whose Braves have a 1.5 game lead now over the Phillies. Phillies play Washington on the Sunday night game tonight. Pitch is cut on and missed. Jones tied up, and McCarthy off to a good start. 2 up, 2 down. And he's done that on 6 pitches.
That was a good 2-seamer there. Had some life to it. Ran in on his hands. Target in there. Good pitch.
Good movement too, man. That was nice to see. Here's Machado. Machado 3 for 8 in the series with a homer. He's knocked in a couple of runs, hitting .306 for the season. Baltimore won game 1 of this series. 10-7 in 15 innings in game 1. 7-5 yesterday. And he jumps all over the first one and skies it towards center. But Ender's got plenty of room, and it's a 9-pitch first inning for Brandon McCarthy. 3 up, 3 down. Good start. One of his 4 keys. We'll see if Atlanta's offense gets off to a good start next. Subtle changes, mostly at the bottom part of it. Ender and Ozzie are red hot. That's good news. Freddie Freeman hitting third. Markakis has had a 4 RBI series for the Braves. Flowers, then the lower portion. Santana in left, Culberson at third, Johan Camargo at short, Brandon McCarthy the pitcher, and a new face facing Atlanta. It's David Hess of the Orioles.
24 years old, 6 feet solid, 220 out of Tullahoma, Tennessee, and Tennessee Tech. He was a 5th round draft pick by the Orioles in 2014. There are his home road splits. Little better ERA on the road. Fastball, slider, changeup. Fastball sits about 92 to 94.
Ender Inciarte is getting his groove back. He's got 4 hits in the series. And Hess delivers a quick strike. Nine homers allowed by Hess in 37 innings. In fact, 14 of the 20 runs he's allowed have come via the home run ball. And with the wind blowing out toward left and left center, perhaps the Braves can take advantage of that today in Game 3.
I'm told he has a tendency to leave that fastball up in the zone, and that's when he gets hurt.
Ooh, pretty good pitch.
Was.
But Ender got the call. He's ahead in the count, 2-1. Hess works the extreme third base side of the pitching rubber. Actually faces the third base dugout as he begins his windup. And missed badly there. 3 balls and a strike.
His last start came against the Nationals at Washington. Did not get out of the 5th inning. Gave up 5 hits and 5 runs and a homer.
Line foul. And a full count.
Ender's made some adjustments. Nick Green talked about that yesterday. I think that's a really good move that's helping Ender stay back a little bit, and he's using his lower half a little better.
And a leadoff walk gets things started. So Ender's been on base now 7 times in this series. Just what you want out of your leadoff man. And that brings up Ozzie Albies, who had a career high 4-hit game here yesterday. Braves scored 43 first inning runs. They got a first inning tally yesterday to make it a 4-1 game. Ozzie at 258 now, 16 home runs, 44 knocked in. And didn't get that one. Strike 1. Ozzie 4th in the league in homers, 2nd in runs, 7th in hits. In National League play, the pitch is hammered, and that is called foul. Oh, Eric Young had a good look at it too, and he's walking over to the first base line to take a look and see where the divot landed.
Well, Will Little's had some hot shots down the lines, hadn't he, in this series?
Yeah, he's been involved at first, second, and third base in this set.
He didn't know whether to jump or wind his watch on that one.
Controversial call down the third base line in the opening game. He had a collision with Flaherty at second base yesterday, and now a hot shot at first here. No balls, 2 strikes. And lifted to the left side, slicing toward the stands. And that is out of play. Joe, to your point about the Braves offense, you're right. They've done a good job, especially at the top of the Braves order. That's the good work on our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot feature today.
The last 2 games against the Orioles, 7 runs, 7 for 14 runners in scoring position. Yes, they've left a couple of guys at third base, could have scored a few more, but they've scored enough to win and haven't.
Ender has a good lead. Not going. The 0-2 pitch is hit the other way. So the Braves have 2 on. Inciarte around second. He's chugging for third. The throw there is late, and great base running by Albies. He scampers into second, and Braves runners are in scoring position with nobody out.
I love what Ozzy's doing. He's getting behind in the count, cutting down on his swing. We saw it yesterday when he had 4 hits. He goes the other way again, shoots one through the hole. Stayed on top of that, and then great hustle by Ender to take third, even though the base hit got to Mancini quickly. Mancini is second in baseball in assists. He has 7 of them. Somehow Ender able to hang on to the base too.
So a great chance here for Freddie Freeman. Albies with his 7th hit in the series. Freddie has 2 hits and 2 RBIs. And that's well off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes.
Freddie could use a good game. He has a couple of hits in this series. I know one little dunker out behind third was one of them, but last 6 games, 5 for 27 with 10 strikeouts. A little hiccup for him.
Downstairs, ball 2. Braves wearing their throwback uniforms once again during Hank Aaron Week here at SunTrust Park. The Cincinnati Reds are going to follow Baltimore to town starting tomorrow night. Line drive, a base hit. That's going to play to run. Here comes Ozzie. They're going to send it. Mancini's throw is cut off. And Freddie's off to a good start. So are the Braves. It's 2-0.
What a great sign for Freeman. You know, if he runs into any kind of little rough patch, take it to left and get squared away. 2 really good swings by Freddie and Ozzie.
So 3 Braves have reached, 2 have scored, none has been made out. And here's Nick Markakis. Nick sitting on 97 hits. This is the Braves' 76th game. The fastest Nick Markakis has ever gotten to 100 hits in a season is after game 81. And it's in for a strike.
This is such a good thing here today already. You mentioned yesterday the Braves had only scored 1 first-inning run, I think, since the middle of May. Was that what it was?
Yeah, not many.
Yeah.
Let me check that for you. They've scored 4
4
since May 15th. Well, they've got 2 today. No balls and a strike. And to your point, Joe, it's good to see the offense continuing just to grind, even though the pitching has had its trouble getting out number 3. That's a good sign. Good lead by Freddie at first, a ball and a strike. And he had a good rip at that and fouled it straight back. It's just a guess, but I'm almost certain that David Hess has a very healthy pass list today. As you mentioned, from Tullahoma, Tennessee, Tennessee Tech, where he majored in biochemistry.
Didn't everybody? I mean,
not at my alma mater, I can promise you that.
Okay.
1 ball, 2 strikes. That went all the way to the screen. It dies right by the tomahawk behind the plate, and Freddie moves up on a wild pitch.
So he's a smart guy, and he's behind 2-0, and he's going to have to get squared away out there pretty quick for the Orioles.
Because let's face it, they're kind of in the same boat the Braves are. They had to play 15 innings the other day too.
Sure. He was really good at the beginning of the season at AAA at Norfolk. He was 2-0 with a 2.12 ERA in 6 starts.
The 2 ball, 2 strike pitch for Markakis is fouled away. Well, one of those starts came April 8th against Gwinnett. And on this roster for the Braves right now, perhaps the only guy that would have seen him would be Danny Santana. I wonder if Danny was able to offer any scouting reports on Hess.
Camargo may have too. He was there.
That's right, rehabbing
on the DL.
Forgot about that. Good point. Pitch number 19 for Hess. And it missed badly upstairs.
Yeah, he's up.
Full count.
Still atop the National League in hits. Nick and Freddie. Arenado's having another great year at Colorado.
Full count pitch is bounced toward first. And that'll be the first out of the inning. Freddie's at third base. And Tyler Flowers will be the hitter. So a productive out for Markakis.
Good job. Chance for Tyler to get his first hit in the series, drive in a run. He can actually do it by way of a fly ball or ground out, depending on where the infield plays.
Tyler 0 for 6 in the first 2 games. Infield's going to come in already for Baltimore. Braves lead 2-0. Trying to snap a 3-game losing streak and put a little pressure on the Phillies, who again play tonight. No swing. Ball 1. That's a good pitch. Even count. Phillies beat the Nationals 5-3 last night. Michael Franco had 4 hits. Santana hit a home run off Kelvin Herrera, the new acquisition by Washington that broke open a 1-run game. One ball, 2 strikes. Phillies have won 3 in a row, 7 of 10, and are a game and a half behind the Braves.
It's a quick way to catch up, isn't it? You win 3 in a row and the first place team loses 3 in a row.
The Phillies have leapfrogged past the Nationals, who are 3 games back. So those are your top 3 in the East. The 1-2 pitch. And Tyler swings and misses. He's been racking up punch outs in the set. And that's a big second out for Hess. Runner at third, Freeman, and Danny Santana, the final hope.
Yeah, Tyler's had a tough series. 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts. That's not like him at all.
Well, Danny's come back to the big leagues and played well in this series. A double, a single, a fly ball to the center field fence in the 15-inning game. And Santana just 2 at-bats yesterday with a couple of swinging strikeouts.
And they went right back with the first pitch to the same pitch that struck him out yesterday, and that's changeup. Went soft away.
That's banged to the right side and right at Davis, and that's the inning. Atlanta picks up a pair of first-inning runs. Freddie Freeman with a 2-run scoring single, and after 1, it's the Braves 2, Baltimore nothing. That was an incredible scene earlier this year. One of the United States Marines was standing guard over that vacant seat. And if you recall, it was a rainy day, misty day here at SunTrust Park, and a fan stood next to that United States Marine who was standing guard over that vacant seat, holding an umbrella the entire half inning.
Wow. I missed that. That was great.
So a good start for Brandon McCarthy. He got the Orioles 3 up, 3 down on just 9 pitches. He's got 2 runs to play with now, and Danny Valencia leads off. Valencia's got a couple of hits in the series. He's knocked in a run and is batting .283 for the year. And the beauty of this game for the Braves, if they win it, they gain ground on somebody chasing them in the division. As the Phillies and Nationals play later. Next on the docket for Atlanta, the red hot Cincinnati Reds, who are playing the Cubs today at the Great American Ballpark. That's pulled toward third and right at Charlie. He's got it in a perfect throw for out number 1. Valencia's retired. Here's Chris Davis. Much has been made about Chris Davis's contract. Much has been made about Chris Davis's strikeouts and home runs. Much was also made about 11 days where Davis was basically benched for Baltimore to try to work on his swing, get his confidence back. It's funny how the game works. He's got 2 hits, 5 RBIs, and a home run in the first 2 here in Atlanta.
Yeah, how about it? Feeling a little better about himself.
McCarthy, a strike, it's 0-1.
Brandon looks good so far. Throwing strikes both sides of the plate, changing speeds. Another good one.
Good zip on his fastball too.
Yeah, he's had some starts with 6 or more days of rest, and in those starts he's gone 2-0 with a sub-3 ERA. But today he's working on 8 days rest.
Well, the Braves have been very willing all year long to give their starters extra days of rest when it's been possible. Apparently the sabermetrics show that there is some science and some numerical backing for that decision to push pitchers back a day at a time. As Davis is down swinging, 2 strikeouts for McCarthy. 8 is certainly an extreme, but one thing I wonder is if that's going to continue with all the pitching depth organizationally the Braves had, would they ever consider going to a 6-man rotation and giving everybody an extra day of rest every single time they pitch?
You know, I'm a little surprised that they don't do that anyway. I mean, other teams, you're carrying so many guys in the bullpen these days and going with a short bench by and large across the board in Major League Baseball. Why not?
I mean, obviously you have to have the arms to do it, and then you have to have success in doing it.
Yeah.
But man, if you got those weapons, why wouldn't you use them? We'll see how it works out as Jonathan Scope bats. He's 2 for 11 in the series. The Orioles' second baseman. Had an all-star year last year and is one of many offensive players that's disappointed so far this year.
But I've also been curious about going to a 4-man rotation since pitchers don't pitch deep into the ball game anymore.
1-1 pitch. Little tapper right back to McCarthy. He's got it. And he's got a 2-0 lead after 2 perfect innings of work.
Sherwin-Williams. Your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by SunTrust. Confidence starts here.
Not a big crowd here in Atlanta. The Braves ambushed David Hess for 2 first-inning runs. Let's see if they can add a couple more here in the second, as Atlanta seeks win number 44 on the season. They also try to even up their record against the American League this year to 5-5. Culberson, Camargo, and McCarthy. And a swing and a miss, strike one.
Pretty good one there. Charlie was a little late on it.
You know, this worked out perfectly with this part of the lineup coming up. We've got the third baseman, the shortstop, and we had a guy that played a pretty good shortstop and second base and third base in his days with the Braves joining us in the booth. First, the 0-2 pitch to Charlie Culberson. And fouled straight back. Fans of the 70s and 80s Braves will remember the smiling face of the man they called Jaybird, Jerry Royster. I remember those days.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to be here with you.
So good to have you back in town.
All right.
When I was a bat boy, let me think about this. I was probably 11 years old, scared to death, didn't know what side of a baseball bat was up. Jerry Royster was the first Braves player that said to me, "Let's go play catch."
That's right.
At Old Fulton County Stadium. I never forgot
remember that. I remember that.
Of course, he threw a split finger pitch that hit me right in the knee, and I've never forgiven him. However,
we've been friends ever since.
Yes, we
right?
have.
Yeah.
It's great to see you. What are you doing these days?
Hey, I'm living out in Southern California and enjoying life. I'm a grandfather now. Ooh.
Twins, right?
Yeah, yes, I'm twins, and Atlas and Adeline are running around now. I'll get a chance to go home and see them later on today.
Great.
And you're here for the alumni?
Here for the alumni week with Gary Matthews, Felix Millan, Marty Perez. We had a fun day today. A lot of people came out. It was very humbling to hear some of the stories of some of the people that I haven't seen since the 80s.
Isn't it great that so many people remember your era of Braves baseball? I mean, we're all so used to the national TV coverage and the Superstation and Fox TV now. But back in your day, that stuff was all just starting. Really,
it really was. I actually worked at the TV station back when in the off season when Ted had me in there doing wrestling. Remember, we used to do wrestling interviews. I'm aging myself, but those were good times. But the people here have always been very supportive of me and my family.
Machado, a nice play, gets Camargo, 2 out.
I can't tell you how many people I talk to, and when I mention your name, and without fail, oh, he was my favorite Atlanta Brave. Right, he was my favorite Brave. I love watching Jerry play.
I never hear that enough. I enjoy it, but I had a great 10 years here. 10 years and great teammates, working with your dad, Chip, working with all the other announcers. We were such a close-knit family. I talked to our clubhouse guy today, Bill Akerick. Talked to him this morning. And,
good.
It's just nice. It's nice to be back here. I don't get back here enough.
I agree.
And Greg McMichael has done an amazing job with the alumni, hasn't he?
An amazing job to assemble the people that he does it. You know, he has intent when he puts certain people together. But I look forward to it. Myself and Del Murphy and Gary Matthews were able to play golf together recently.
Look at McCarthy put a charge into one. That's over Rasmus's head and up against the brick wall. And Brandon McCarthy has his second double of the year, and it comes with 2 outs. Have yourself a day.
Nice. These guys are playing well, man. They're playing good. I've watched them the last 2 nights, and just seeing them come back, even when they're so far down, just to come back like they did. And I mean, all these guys are, they're playing like they're 16-year-olds, like they're 15.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the reasons you should like this team, first inning and watching guys go first to third, hustling going into second. Albies taking that base when the throw went to third. Kind of like your style.
Joe, funny you mentioned that. We were just downstairs. I was just downstairs with Gary Matthews, who played the game harder than anybody I know. And we were just talking about the Braves guys going first to third on single to left, scoring on a single to left from second. That's the kind of baseball that's going to take them a long ways.
Yeah, I think so too. What did you go in the clubhouse?
I did not. And those guys coaching third base right there, and Brian, you know, being the manager, and I mean, I know so many of the Braves coaches. They keep us pretty busy here. Greg does keep us pretty busy.
He does.
Sure. Well, next time you come back, hopefully that will be soon. You got to check out the facility.
Yeah, just make sure you tell those guys I said hello, because they're going to be pretty mad when I leave out of here and head out on that airplane and they knew that I was here.
Well, we would have been mad.
Yeah, right. One thing you got to see is the hitting cage. It's a lot different than the one under the stands at Fulton County Stadium. Remember the dirt and
Yes,
the rats and that old raggedy cage?
Yes, I did. I heard about it, and Smokesy still tells me, you know, how great it is, and he's able to compare all of them. So it's is he here today?
No.
Fouled away.
No.
He's a big network star now.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. He's on that other network.
And he's got to get ready for the U.S. Senior Open. He qualified. You know
Qualified for the U.S. Open. I remember taking him out to play golf, and if he broke 90, it was good. And I guess he played enough and was a good enough pitcher that he was able to practice a lot more than the rest of us, because
Quite a competitor,
he's
too.
way better than we are.
Oh, he's something else. Do you have one favorite memory? I know we've got 2 outs. One favorite memory from your time as a Brave. If you had to pick one, what would it be?
Well, you know what? I want to get away from that, because it was just Hank Aaron week here, or it is Hank Aaron week. And I was actually playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers when Hank broke Babe Ruth's record. I was in the other dugout, and Dusty Baker and Roland Office, who were both on the Atlanta Braves at that time and who are very good, close friends of mine, spoke to both of them today. And the 3 of us were in the ballpark to see that. Dusty was on deck. Roland actually took Hank's place. And I remember sitting in the Dodger dugout and jumping up and hitting my head on the top of the of the dugout. That's one of my favorite moments. I had some great moments. Us winning in '82 was a great memory, winning 13 in a row.
Pop fly into shallow left. Machado says he's got it. He's going to give way to Mancini, and we're going to send you to the airport. I know you got to catch a flight. Jerry, it's great to see you. Welcome home, and all the success the Braves are having is in large part because of guys like you. You're
Thanks a lot.
Always part of the family.
Thanks a lot, Chet.
Jerry Royster.
What a pleasure.
One of the best.
Got to go play golf.
Yeah.
To nothing as we head into the 3rd inning over the Orioles. And you know, the closer, Arodys Vizcaino, he hasn't pitched in exactly a week since last Sunday due to a sore shoulder. Well, today the Braves went ahead and they put him on the 10-day DL. Now, Brian Snitker said that it has been getting better, but it's just not responding exactly the way they wanted to. So they went ahead and made that move retroactive to June 21st. He said for now, the closing duties will be split between A.J. Minter and Dan Winkler, most likely. But there is some good news. Everything time you see a guy go down, somebody else has to step up and get a chance. So they did call up Evan Phillips from Gwinnett. And you guys, this kid has been good down there. He has a 2.31 in ERA in 26 games, and his first appearance will be his big league debut, Chip and Joe. So we look forward to getting Vizcaíno back, but good luck to Evan Phillips.
Indeed, always a thrill when you get to a big league clubhouse for the first time as a player. We wish Evan all the best, and a quick recovery for Vizcaíno. And obviously, it was the move that needed to be made for Atlanta because, quite frankly, for the last couple of days, they've been playing short in the bullpen.
They absolutely have, and they just kept hoping that Arody's shoulder would respond to treatment and he'd be ready to go, but it just wasn't happening. So they had to do something. And there's been a lot written about Evan Phillips lately, too, about how he was on the verge of being called up, and here he is. We wish him well.
Trey Mancini leads off. Mancini's struggling at the plate this month, hitting a .177 in June and .219 overall in the year.
He's another guy. He may not have been benched for 10 days, but he's also taken a seat due to his lack of hitting. And I probably should say an increase in number of strikeouts. Like Davis, a lot of them, 74 in 269 at bats.
2 balls, no strikes. McCarthy set down the first 6 Orioles in order. And fouled away. I think it's going to be so interesting to watch how major league teams construct their 25-man rosters going forward. With all this talk about launch angle and the rise in homers and the rise in strikeouts and the lack of action on the field, these bail and whale offenses that are so often featured in the American League, well, in the case of Baltimore, it isn't working. And they're at or near the bottom in just about every offensive category and leading almost in strikeouts. It doesn't seem to be a functional way to make an offense work in this day and age in Major League Baseball.
I think if any team wants to look at something that's opposite of that and that trend, look at the Atlanta Braves.
There you go.
They're in first place. They're scoring runs. They're tough to strike out. They've been among the league leaders in fewest strikeouts all year long, if not leading the league. And if you want to see something that's a little opposite of what everybody's talking about in terms of launch angle and strikeouts don't matter, then you ought to take a carbon copy of the Braves and try to fix it.
3-2 count. And a high fly ball deep to left field. That one's not coming back. How about the launch angle on that baby into the Henry Aaron Terrace? Trey Mancini just hit his 10th home run, and the Orioles have cut the Braves lead in half. That was a towering solo home run.
Well, I'll say, yeah, he's got the pop. That's his 10th homer, and he got a hanging breaking ball. First mistake Brandon's made. Hanging breaking ball inside, and that was way into the terrace.
Brandon McCarthy this month has given up now 9 earned runs and 6 homers. So it's 2-1. Austin wins. The catcher and 8th place hitter digs in, and Brandon comes back with a bell tie strike. So it's a 2-1 game here in the 3rd inning.
Well, it's good to see Jerry Royster back. I so appreciate what Greg McMichael and his crew are doing to bring back some of the guys that there are some that still live in the area, and it's easier for them to come. And some that, like Jerry, who still live in California, that it's not that easy, but the Braves are able to get them to come back, and I know they enjoy themselves. Jerry mentioned being in the other dugout when Hank hit the home run, and when I signed and went straight to AAA with the Dodgers, Jerry was one of my first teammates.
Really?
And he was the only guy on the team younger than me.
Wow. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A run in, nobody out. And this one's lifted to left, but the park will hold that. Danny Santana is there and has it. There's the first out.
But a great teammate, a good a good example. A guy who always played hard, never took a play off, never took a pitch off. He always played hard and hustled.
And could play everywhere.
Yes.
Infield, outfield, steal a base.
Well, with the Dodgers, you know, that infield was set for so many years, and there was really no place for him to play. He was a very valuable asset to the team to trade or include in a trade to Atlanta.
Little broken bat pop to second for the second out.
But he got his opportunity here and made the best of it.
And really, that's the first Dodger I've ever heard say, wow, I was in the other dugout when Henry Aaron hit the home run. We know all about the players that were on the field and the handshakes and pats on the back as Henry made his way around the bases at Fulton County Stadium. But what an impression that had to make on Jerry Royster as a Dodger to be a spectator and in uniform in the LA dugout when Henry Aaron made that historic trip around the bases. So great timing for us to have Jerry here during Hank Aaron week at SunTrust Park. Here's Rasmus, and up and away to him. 1 ball, no strikes. His bat looks a little slow.
Yeah, he just hasn't played. You know, he missed so much time last year with this hip injury. I think I would have to test him with fastballs to see if he can get around on them like Brandon just did.
One ball, one strike, and that missed up and away. No rest for the weary for Baltimore. They go home and start a long homestand with the Seattle Mariners tomorrow night. 4 games with Seattle, then 3 with the Angels. That gets them to the 1st of July. Baltimore finishes the first half, the first unofficial half, with the Phillies and Minnesota on the road, the Yankees and Texas at Oriole Park.
Oh man, they've got a gauntlet coming up.
Two balls, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. A breaking ball ends the inning for Rasmus and the Orioles, who got a 417-foot leadoff homer from Trey Mancini. It's 2-1 Atlanta. Home third coming up. Ozzie Albies ready to lead off for the Braves here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's time for our Synovus Greatness Made Here feature. Here are the Braves offensive rankings in the National League.
Most of those are pretty good, but boy, you get down to average with 2 out runner in scoring position, they really fall off, don't they? All the way down to second. Whew. Otherwise, I think things are going pretty good, pretty smoothly.
Might need to have a chat with the hitting coach after the game about that particular graphic.
Yeah, do you guys work on that in the cage?
Kevin's done an excellent job.
Yes, sir.
Here's Ozzie. 1 ball, no strikes to him. 1 run Atlanta game. Fouled straight back toward us. And
got Nate.
Hey, great catch. Nate was ready, but that guy stood up right in front of him and robbed him of a chance to be a hero.
You were ready, though, weren't you? Oh, yeah.
Grounded foul. And out of play.
I got to back up what you were just saying a minute ago about Kevin and the job he and Jose Castro do as the hitting coaches. When I go to from the clubhouse to the dugout, there's rarely a time that I ever see them not in the cage working with guys.
Sharply hit. It ate up Davis, and it skips into right field for a base hit. So Ozzie's 2 for 2 after 4 hits yesterday. That's 8 hits in 13 tries in the series.
I have a question. First at Raktus. Now Ozzie gets to first, and as he's rounding first, Hess had come over to cover first, and there's a brush right there. Will Little, the umpire, points at that. I wonder if Ozzie kept running and they threw him out at second, if they would call interference.
They would have.
Obstruction.
Freddie Freeman brought home the first 2 Braves runs with a single. But there's no way Ozzie could have seen that. Rightfully, he's looking at the baseball, not at the umpire.
Right.
But that's exactly what Will Little was doing. Signaling that if for some reason Albies continue to go, that he was interfered with at first base. A little dribbler foul by Freeman. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Looked like he had a chat over there with Eric Young and Ozzie also. Ozzie will know next time that happens. Keep running. And hope that Will Little is the first base umpire.
Yeah, right. Always a chance. 1-1 count. And again to first. Larry Anderson, our pal who works for the Phillies radio broadcast, especially likes it when Will is behind the plate, because as he said, he has a Will Little strike zone.
Yes, he does.
Which is surprising for a former pitcher to say, but not surprising knowing Larry. 1 ball, 1 strike. A shot to left. He took a shot that way, didn't get it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Braves are rapidly pushing toward 1.2 million in attendance here at SunTrust Park. Big crowds all weekend. Hope you'll make your plans to join us tomorrow night. Monday night, Tuesday night games against the Reds, and then a business fan special on Wednesday afternoon before we start a long road trip. And Freddie Chase didn't get it and strikes out. 3 of those for Hess. Ball got away, and Ozzie takes second base.
Heads up. That will be a stolen base for Ozzie, as he took advantage of the Orioles just lazily getting the ball back. And nobody was at third base. He could have kept going.
So Ozzie in scoring position after the strikeout. And Nick Markakis is the batter. He bounced out to first with the pitcher covering in the opening inning. Way upstairs, ball 1. In American League action, Oakland's winning today. They're beating the White Sox 1-0. Oakland has a new member of their 25-man roster. Tell you about that after the 1-0 pitch. A beautiful breaking ball evens the count. Remember Edwin Jackson?
Yes.
Oakland signed him. His 13th major league team.
How about that? You know, he's been remarkable in that very little, if any, arm troubles. He's had a rubber arm, man. He can pitch as often as you want him to. Start, relieve. That's got to be up close to Mike Morgan territory, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember how many Morgan pitched for.
I wanted to say 14, but that may not even be enough. Maybe more than that.
Half the teams in baseball, man.
Yeah.
You better have a big trophy room to hang all the jerseys.
It's wallpaper.
Yeah, right. Wow. What a story for Edwin Jackson. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Edwin pitched here a couple of years ago, if memory serves, with the Braves.
Well, we've seen him pitch for just about everybody in the division, too.
Yeah, good point. He's from Columbus, Georgia. So we'll wish him luck as Albies measures off his lead at second. 2-1 Atlanta in front. Gentle breeze blowing out toward Chattahoochee Falls in center. The pitch. And fought off and bounced foul.
Scouting report we got on Hess was that he was that he had a good breaking pitch, more of a slider than a curveball, but he's showing kind of a slow curve, it looks like, this inning.
The 2-2 pitch. Fouled away. I guess there's two schools of thought with regards to the Braves offense in this series. Yes, they've scored their share of runs. They could have had a lot more. Braves have left 25 men on base in the series. 16 of those 25 were in scoring position prior to today's game. At some point you figure that's going to even out. Atlanta so far today 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. The school of thought being, well, at least you're getting the chances.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll still go back to 5 runs ought to be enough. Like yesterday. Yesterday was an odd day in that they got 6 walks and none of them scored.
That almost never happens.
6 walks and 12 hits. Plenty of base runners.
Two balls, 2 strikes. And in the dirt. A full count.
You talk to, and we've a couple of times focused on the Orioles and what they think of Nick Markakis, how much they miss him, and we talked to Gary Thorne and Jim Palmer, their TV broadcasters, and there's almost a reverence to it and how much they appreciate what Nick did in his 9 years in Baltimore.
Swing and a shot deep to right field. That ball is off the bricks. Played well by Rasmus, who then promptly drops it. And Nick has a standing double that chases home Albies. It's 3-1.
You know, I'm not real big on launch angle and exit velocity, but I am curious about that exit velocity. That was roped. It just wasn't high enough. And there was that slow breaking ball. Stayed back on it wonderfully. It just didn't get high enough to get out of here. And got it out front. I'm told 103 miles an hour. Probably came off faster than that off the brick wall too for Rasmus. Almost made a great play there.
98th hit from Markakis. 49th RBI. Atlanta gets that run back. And now Tyler Flowers, the hitter. Well, back to your point about Markakis. Two-time Gold Glover. Since the start of the 2006 season, during his 11-year career, he averaged 153 games, averaged 171 hits, averaged 36 doubles.
And the sad part is, and he came to Atlanta, the Braves knew that he was going to have neck surgery, and he had it before the start of his first season here. The Orioles weren't even going to offer him a contract. He was a free agent. And then at the 11th hour, when it was pretty apparent he was going to go somewhere else, I think they offered him a one-year deal.
Right. Well, you remember opening day in 2015, I believe we were in Miami.
We were.
And it was a flip of the coin as to whether or not Markakis was even going to play that day, because they weren't sure he was all the way back. He didn't play a lot in spring training.
Right.
Well, if memory serves, I think Nick drove in the first run or scored the first run of the year down in Miami against the Marlins and Jose Fernandez, and finished the year playing 156 games, hit 296, and had 181 hits.
And he stole a base that first game.
Right. That's a strike. In fact, if you look at Nick's batting average, his first year with the Braves, his highest in an Atlanta uniform. You look at his hit total, most hits he had in an Atlanta uniform.
That first year.
First year.
How about that? I know his power was sapped a little bit from that neck injury.
Just 3 homers, but then he went to 13 to 8 last year and 8 already this year.
Just missed his 9th.
And really, even in his early days, by today's standards, Nick was never really known as a home run hitter. He hit his share playing in Baltimore. The most he ever hit in a single year was 23 back in 2007. It is a line drive, gap to gap doubles machine. As that's off the plate, good take by Tyler, full count.
And in right field, if you pull the ball in right field at Camden Yards, my mental picture of that is the ball he just hit here would not have gone out either, because they've got a high wall in right field that extends out probably, I don't know, 100 feet into right center.
Very similar, maybe higher than the one here.
I think it is a little higher. Good swing by Tyler there.
Braves are forcing Hess to throw a lot of pitches through 2 1/3 innings today. He's up to 65 of them. And number 66 was nowhere close. His second walk, he walked the leadoff man. And now Wins is out for a chat as Hess starts a new count with Santana, and Roger McDowell pays a visit.
We talked about the walks and a walk in Toronto for Ender Inciarte, that sometimes that helps get a guy going because you're seeing the pitches better, even though they may not be strikes. And maybe the same will be true for Tyler, who has hit kind of a strikeout rut here, and maybe seeing that many pitches this at bat, maybe that'll help get him going. And I say get him going. It's not like he's in some giant month-long drought.
Right, but uncharacteristically a lot of strikeouts.
Yes, yes.
For Tyler Flowers. By the way, good to see Roger McDowell back in town with the Orioles. Roger did an excellent job with the Braves pitching staff as the pitching coach here. It's been a tough run for him in Baltimore, however, this season.
He and Gloria and the girls still live here, make their home out in Marietta.
Roger was the pitching coach here for 11 years. Braves staff won 905 games and were 4th among major league clubs with a .388 earned run average.
Pretty good. Well, he got here when Bobby was still managing.
That's right. Danny Santana grounded out to first to end the first. He's up with 2 on and 1 out. Braves 3, Baltimore 1 in game 3. And down to him.
Do you know what's weird? But I still flinch on those.
Do you?
Must be because he's a switch hitter batting left-handed, but when something like that happens, I kind of jackknife up here in the chair. I hope I don't get hit up here.
Well, that'd be a very wild pitch if it did. 1 ball, 1 strike. This one's lifted toward left. Mancini and Jones. Look at that ball carry. Still going, and Mancini at the last moment makes a basket grab on the warning track, and the runners tag in advance. Now, I'm not sure he knew where he was, and I'm not sure he thought he was going to get there. But he did for the second out.
This is his first game of the series here. And I don't think there's been any batting practice taken in the first 3 days of this series by either team.
Not on the field.
Because of the rain, yeah. And the threat of rain. So he's kind of in foreign territory to be sure out there.
Baltimore might be taking a look at the play at second base where Tyler Flowers was tagged on a close play, but Baltimore satisfied with the call, so won't challenge. Here's Culberson. Charlie struck out in the second.
Chan looked it up for us. I was way off on Mike Morgan. He only played for 12, not 14.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Octavio Dotel, 13. Jackson, Morgan, Stairs, and Ron Vallone, all 12.
Wow. What was Octavio Dotel good or what? First the pitch, which is stroked into right center field. That'll get down and score 2 more. Jones cuts it off. Charlie on his way to second with a double, and the Braves add a couple more. Culberson with his 3rd and 4th RBI of the series. It's a 5-1 Atlanta game.
Charlie had that fastball thrown by him his first pitch when he came up in the 2nd inning, and it was on my mind that I bet he doesn't let that happen again. Well, he didn't have to. He got a slider out over the plate. How about the Braves today and hitting the ball where it's pitched, taking advantage of that? What an addition he's been to this ball club.
Culberson, such a huge role for the Dodgers in postseason last year, trying to help lead the Braves to a similar destination in 2018. And now Camargo hits with 2 outs and 3 runs in. And low from Hess. On a hot, sticky day, the Braves have really made him labor.
And they've had some good base running. They've done a great job of taking extra bases, and just like the deep fly ball, both guys tagging up and moving up, set up the double to score 2 runs.
There really hasn't been a spot where Hess has commanded any part of the strike zone yet in this game, has there been?
No.
There's a good pitch, though. Good change-up, evens the count.
His last 2 starts a little similar to what's going on today. 3 1/3, 5 hits, 5 runs. 4 2/3, 5 hits, 5 runs. 6 hits and 5 runs today.
His 34th pitch of the inning is served just foul down the left field line. Scored Culberson. And so a 2-2 count.
Good crowds over the weekend too, huh?
Great crowds.
37 plus Friday night, 40,000 last night. Probably 37 to 40 today.
It is raining ever so slightly now as Johan serves one to left again. There's just one cloud overhead. It's dropping a little precipitation. Blue sky all around the park. Just the heat and humidity finally letting loose on what was announced as an 88-degree start here at first pitch. The 2-2. Little tapper. And the pitcher will flip to first in time, and that retires the side. Atlanta really worked over Hess in a very long third inning and tagged him for 3 more runs. Trust Park in Atlanta. So far so good for the Braves, who enjoy a 5-1 lead after 3 innings of play. Brief little sun shower a moment ago. Looks like that stopped.
That's just a little spritzer for everybody, kind of cool off.
We got working over there. Oh. That is supposedly called a Theragun.
Okay. Well, I'd have to talk to the bosses. Might need one of those up here.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a 15-inning game. Break out the Theragun.
Yes, sir.
Go to the 14th.
Well, that wouldn't be my first choice of things to break out in the 15th inning, but however, we can start there and see how it goes.
It's funny, it's got a little compartment in there for other stuff.
Yes. So Brandon McCarthy, who has been blessed with a lot of run support this year, has been given 5 runs in the first 3 innings. And he'll face the 2, 3, 4 hitters for Baltimore a second time here in the 4th inning. Jones, Machado, and Valencia. And a strike. That's something Brandon's done a good job of in this game. Strike 1. And Adam Jones skies one out of play foul. It's 0-2. If you've missed our first two broadcasts, we've talked a lot about the current state of the Orioles ball club and the organization. They have a lot of very interesting decisions that have yet to be made as to what direction they will go, first at the trade deadline and beyond this season. Jones is one of the players about whom they will have to decide. Will he be offered a new contract? Will he be traded? I believe he has 10 and 5 rights. Or will he be allowed to go to free agency, which is a possibility. Same with that man, Manny Machado. Same with their closer, Zach Britton. Same with their manager, Buck Showalter. Same with their general manager, Dan Duquette.
They have some, as we've been saying, some very attractive pieces for teams that are in contention. Just a matter of what the asking price is. Adam Jones is from San Diego, still lives in San Diego. I think he wants to stay in Baltimore.
1-2 pitch.
But you can certainly understand him if he wanted to get back closer to home.
Tapped foul at the plate. Well, I don't know if it's a sign or not, but last month USA Today reported that Adam Jones bought Cal Ripken Jr.'s former home, an estate in suburban Maryland, I believe it is.
Okay, well, he ain't going anywhere.
Well, maybe it'll be his, I don't know, his
summer home, or,
yeah,
or I guess winter home,
a retreat. Might be a little tight. It's only 8,545 square feet.
Well, he could build on.
It has an indoor basketball court, pool, gym, batting cages, and a baseball field. Not to mention the home theater and gourmet kitchen. So I'm sure there are a lot of Baltimore fans who are hoping that that is indeed a sign that he wants to stay and finish out his career as a member of the Orioles. Three balls, two strikes. And line down the left field line. That's in for a base hit. And that's going to trickle into the corner. Adam Jones in at second with a leadoff double, his first hit of the game and fourth of this series.
That was a good at bat. Fouled off some pitches. He was very aggressive, and another slider in the middle of the plate.
If there's a pitch that's hurt Brandon more than anything else this month, I would say that's the one, isn't it? So Jones aboard in front of Machado, who flied out to center his first time up. Where will he end up? A whole lot of third base talk this last week in the major leagues. Apparently the Padres are rumored to be expressing interest in Michael Franco of the Phillies. The Phillies have been said to be interested in Machado, which makes sense. Andy McPhail used to be in charge of the Orioles organization. Now he runs the Phillies. Knows Manny very well, as that one's hit on a line to right, and no chance for Jones to advance. One out. Good play by Markakis.
There was another team. I mean, I mentioned Arizona last night as a viable candidate. There's another team that's been rumored too, the Boston Red Sox.
For Machado?
Yes.
So what do they do with Devers?
He might be in the deal.
Good point.
They've got a lot of good young players that they could probably just maybe even do a one-on-one. Jackie Bradley Jr., somebody like that.
just what the rest of baseball needs. The Red Sox to get Manny Machado. And I'm sure it makes common sense. That's exactly what the Orioles want. They want 4 or 5 teams competing at the deadline, if not before then, to try to drive the price to its absolute peak before they even consider moving their all-star third baseman or shortstop, if you will. 1 ball, no strikes.
A lot of people would say, well, why would the Orioles trade him to a team in their division and have to deal with him, 19 times a year? But I don't think there is a chance of Machado being traded to a team and re-signing with that team unless it's just an extraordinary contract. Sure, he'll play out the free agency per his agent.
2 balls, no strikes. And foul back. I don't know if there's a scenario that would involve the Braves being involved in pursuing Manny Machado. You talk about trading guys within your division or out of your, it doesn't matter. You go to the teams that have the most talent that you can get in return, irrespective of which division they play in. And certainly the Braves have as much talent as anybody in baseball. Foul back. The question is, do you have to give up too much for Machado as a rental player with free agency looming? And would the Orioles grant you the opportunity to try to work out a long-term deal before you make a deal? My guess is the answer to that would be no. If you want him, you get him. And if you don't sign him, that's too bad.
Right.
Inside corner, Valencia frozen.
Popped it at 93. Good pitch. That's a little bit like the pitch, only actually a little better one from a strike zone standpoint than the one he struck out Jones on in the first inning. It was moving and had some sink to it. Great pitch.
It's not where it's caught, it's where it crossed the front edge of the plate. And it looked to be a proper call by Ryan Addison, the home plate arbiter today. Here's Davis.
Yeah, we haven't seen Addison before.
And a strike. Davis struck out swinging in his lone appearance. Two balls and a strike for the Baltimore first baseman. Right now, nothing for the Orioles hitters to eliminate. McCarthy's got everything working. Good off-speed pitch had Davis fooled. Now he's a strike away from leading off the home fourth. Lifted to left, and Santana's going to catch that. That retires the side. McCarthy pitches around a leadoff double. He maintains a 5-1 lead, and he's coming up first here in the home fourth. Fox and FS1 with a full slate of matches. It all kicks off at 9 Eastern with Uruguay taking on Russia. Later, Ronaldo and Portugal face Iran. The World Cup on Fox and FS1, or stream it all live on the Fox Sports app.
Was a good game today. Senegal and Japan. 2-2 tie. Late goal by Japan.
Yeah, it was a great match. Boy, the stadiums in Russia are packed.
They
for
sure
the
are.
World Cup action, which isn't a surprise. Brandon McCarthy leads off. He doubled his first time up. And takes a strike from David Hess, who's back to work, trailing in the game 5-1. This is kind of a sad, familiar refrain for the Orioles, with one caveat. They've made 35 quality starts this year as a pitching staff. This would not qualify as one for Hess. However, even with those 35 quality starts, the Orioles starters have the second lowest run support of any staff in Major League Baseball. So when they pitch well, they don't hit. And when they pitch poorly, they don't hit.
The sad part is this, in my opinion. They had the makings of a good lineup. What they thought was going to be a good lineup. They didn't expect Chris Davis to hit a $150. They certainly didn't expect Jonathan Scope to hit 180, and so on. So they went out and got Andrew Kashner, and they signed Alex Cobb. They were fortifying the rotation for what they thought was going to be a pretty strong lineup.
And they lose their closer for a while. So it's been the old best laid plans were waylaid very early and often for Buck Showalter this year. And in the East, there is no room for error when you've got the Yankees and Red Sox duking it out atop the division as McCarthy strikes out, one away in the fourth. 4 strikeouts for Hess. Enders walked and scored. Braves got 2 first-inning runs. They got 3 third-inning runs.
It's funny, 6 walks yesterday and none of them scored. 2 walks today and they were already both scored for Atlanta.
That's what's so maddeningly fun about baseball. 1 ball, no strikes for Ender. Braves trying to snap a 7-game losing streak to the Orioles. Bouncer back to the mound. That'll be the second out. The last time the Braves beat Baltimore, June 15th, 2012.
Oh, yikes.
So 2 outs for a red hot Ozzie Albies. Are Yellowwood bringing the lumber feature.
Yeah, he's pushed his average back up over 260 with this series. 8 for 14. Scored 4 times. And he's been in the 2-hole. Kind of took a little pressure off of him trying to get on base every time.
And he shoots one over the shift. 3 more hits for Albies. 9 hits in the series. And I believe they're all singles.
All 4 were yesterday. And both were on opening night, Friday night.
Freddie Freeman 1 for 2. A 2-run single in the opening inning. Valencia moves off the line to third base. Again, Baltimore stays in their shift.
Yeah, that was a good sign for Freddie, hitting that ball on a line to left field to drive in 2. Struck out in the 3rd. That was his 11th strikeout, though, in his last 29 at bats. That's a lot for him.
Strike 1. Braves and Reds here tomorrow. We'll welcome Mike Foltynewicz back to the mound. Mike's missed some time with a sore right triceps. Tyler Mahle will pitch for the Reds. He was extremely impressive when we saw him up at the Great American Ballpark. But he shoots one toward left. That's going to hang up and bounce into the seats.
Yeah, of the 4 starters we saw in that series, he was by far the best. It's not going to be any cakewalk with the Cincinnati Reds the way they're playing. You said 6 in a row and swing the bat well. They're going to see Maile, Matt Harvey, the former Met, and then Luis Castillo, the hard throwing right-hander.
The Reds have hit 3 grand slams in their last 5 games, but they're losing to the Cubs today 6-1. Tyler Chatwood was supposed to start that game for Chicago, but he's been placed on paternity leave. His wife went into labor or is about to go into labor today. Sal Romano was the man that started for the Reds. They've been playing much more competitive baseball and much more consistently competitive baseball with Jim Riggleman, who was the interim manager. Riggleman replaced
Price.
Price, yeah, thank you. Earlier this year. And the Reds, I think, were something crazy like 8-27 when that move was finally made. Brian Price was relieved of his duties. The pitch is bounced slowly to the right side. Machado almost took too long, but he got Freeman by a half step. And the Braves are out of luck in the 4th inning. 5-1 Atlanta. As you take a live look at the pool deck at the gorgeous Omni Hotel at the Battery Atlanta. That's our Xfinity cam. Brandon McCarthy has given up 1 run in his first 4 innings today as the Braves try to win number 44 this afternoon.
You mentioned Brian Price with the Reds and their record when he was relieved of his duties. I'm probably going to make a lot of people mad and some friends mad that are pitchers. So save it, boys. But it was suggested to me many years ago that ex-pitchers don't make good managers. There are exceptions to the rule. Bud Black's had a good run as a manager, and he was a pitcher. Bob Lemon managed for a while with the Yankees, and I think may have won a World Series. There's certainly exceptions, but generally speaking, and I think of a guy who was for years a great pitching coach for that great Oriole team, Ray Miller, became a manager
a couple of times.
Yeah, and was not successful. Now, is there a reason for that? I don't know, unless you think about pitchers and what they do singularly with respect to the game versus a position player who hits, runs, throws, and may not know a whole lot about pitching and turns that duty over to a pitching coach.
Well, that's why some say that the best managers are guys that were often catchers because they had offensive responsibilities. They had defensive responsibilities and how to move guys in the infield before this shift crazy era. And obviously, they had to have a real handle on all the pitchers and how they were pitching not only in the game but on the side and who is working and is hot in the bullpen. I guess that makes
it's
a little sense.
Subject for debate.
Right.
Again, it was something that I didn't have a real thought about and opinion on until someone suggested it to me, and I've.
Mancini lifts one to right, and Marquez watches that one sail off the bricks, and he holds him to a long single. That was beautifully played by Nick.
That ball really carried too.
He's hit the ball hard twice. He's got the lone RBI with a homer his first time. Now Mancini a long single.
Gave himself some room on that hop too. No, it was after somebody suggested it to me that I started kind of paying attention to that, and I think that's pretty consistent with what they said. And you know, I don't know if there's any managers in the Hall of Fame that were pitchers. Maybe there are some. I don't know. But I couldn't think of any successful recent managers.
Little pop down the first base line that's going to bounce foul.
That were pitchers. And you know, I think of Bobby first, of course, Tony La Russa, Joe Torre, who all went in the Hall of Fame together. But if there are some, I guess we'll have to do some homework on it.
Yeah, interesting theory, though. Of course, any manager will tell you they're only as good as the talent they're presented. And let's face it, the Cincinnati organization for the last couple of years has really struggled. No balls and a strike. And downstairs for Austin Wynns, the catcher. Big problem in Cincinnati has been not that they've not gotten first-round picks to the big leagues. It's that they've gotten there and they've either broken or not panned out.
Right.
Some of that is bad luck. One pitch and a ground ball left side. The throw to second is going to be in time. Ozzie had to do the do-si-do around the second base bag, but he made the play to force Mancini, who might have stepped on him. See if Ozzie's all right. Awkward throw from Camargo, but they get the lead runner.
Oh yeah, he got it.
2 out.
Got his sock ripped. But he had to just kind of camp out on the bag right here. Make sure he had it, and he put his foot right in the path of Mancini.
So Trumbo's going to come on and pinch hit for Hess, who went 4 innings and gave up 5 runs. Trumbo's had a nice series, a grand slam in the first inning yesterday.
Interesting story from game 1 that involved Trumbo. That when we have a chance, I'll show you the replay again, where he hit a double over Charlie Culberson's head. You might remember. And I should say he attempted to get a double. Charlie went back, played it off the wall, made a great throw, and threw him out at second base. And the backup to this story is coming.
That one's going to deep left center field. Ender as far as he can go, and Buck Showalter pushes the right button. A pinch hit 2-run homer for Trumbo.
Man, he's on a home run binge. Grand slam yesterday, pinch hit homer today. He came in having hit home runs in back-to-back games and 3 in his last 5. He's on a tear. The follow-up to the story is this. Here's the play. Friday night, rips one. Charlie kind of misjudged it, backpedaled, played it perfectly off the wall. But one of our great camera operators, the great Steve Angel, Teen Angel, was working out there, and the fans were telling Charlie he's going. He's going. The fans were helping Charlie know that he needed to make a play. And he did. And for 2 or 3 innings after that, every time Charlie would go back out to left field, he was thanking the fans for their help. I thought that was terrific.
That's great. So all of a sudden it's a 5-3 game, a couple of Baltimore homers. And now Rasmus, the hitter, takes upstairs ball 2. Five runs on 7 hits for the Braves, 3 runs on 4 hits for the Orioles. And a ground ball. Ozzy's got it. Long throw off target and an infield hit for Rasmus. Really, that shouldn't be an infield hit because Ozzy caught the ball 30 feet in the outfield grass, but he's the first man to touch it, and that's how we'll score it. Now Adam Jones is coming up representing the tying run. So Chuck Hernandez on his way out to the mound. He'll give McCarthy a breather here. Brandon has to get through this 5th inning with the lead to at least qualify for the win.
Pitching beautifully with the exception of the home run balls.
So beware of Adam Jones, who doubled last time up.
Yeah, had a good at bat. Got that slider, hit it hard.
And we can hear the Braves bullpen phone ringing 400 feet away. As that one's off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. Tied him up, which is what McCarthy did in the 1st inning. Wow, the Reds have come back to tie up the Cubs. 6-6 in the 7th. Wonder if anybody hit a grand slam today.
Goodness.
Their pitcher Anthony DeSclafani hit one yesterday. The first grand slam by a Reds pitcher since 1959.
Turk Farrell.
Close. It was not Turkey, but Perky. Bob Perky. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jesse Winker hit a 3-run homer, not a grand slam, at the Great American Small Park. Cubs pitchers have been shredded in Cincinnati in that series. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Adam Jones. The pitch. Didn't get it.
Good try, though. Good fastball, one of his best of the day. Chen came up with a good exception to what I was talking about with respect to pitchers being managers, and that was Tommy Lasorda.
That's right.
Roger Craig just came from the truck. Another good one.
But I think it illustrates your point, how difficult it is to come up with that that list. A swing and a miss. Jones is retired for the second time on strikes. And Trumbo's pinch hit homer, all Baltimore gets in the 5th inning. It's now 5-3. Early in this ball game, Atlanta leads it by a 5-3 score now. Braves got 2 in the first. They got 3 in the third. A couple of long homers for Baltimore have made it closer than we'd like. But the Braves have chased David Hess, who has left after 4 innings, a 5-run ball. Brandon McCarthy in line to win it if Atlanta can hang on or add to the lead. And Joe, to do that, they'll have to face a new face on the mound for Baltimore. It's Mike Wright Jr.
Yeah, he pitched here Friday night, actually got the win. He pitched the 14th and 15th inning of that ball game. There are his numbers for the year: 22 walks, 31 strikeouts. He's got a good arm. He's low to mid 90s fastball with a cutter and a changeup.
So action in the Braves bullpen leads you to believe it might be 5 and fly from McCarthy today on a hot day. His first action in 8 games. As a strike to Markakis has him behind in the count, 0-1.
Shane Carl is loosening now.
Ball 2. Big game in Milwaukee today. The Cardinals trail the Brewers 2-1. St. Louis earned a win last night. They're 5.5 games behind Milwaukee in the Central Division race. They're 3.5 games behind the second place Cubs. And St. Louis will be our first stop on the upcoming road trip as Markakis fouls one off his foot. Did you flinch on that one?
No, I just felt it. We had very primitive makeshift shin guards, I'll say. Nothing like that, and that got mostly shin guard, it appeared, and still went all the way through it. Nothing like that. Nothing with any hinges that have like the catcher's, instep protector. Nothing like that.
It's funny, Nick might have walked over to Tyler and said, how do you do this every day?
Yeah.
Behind the plate. Who do you, if you remember, who was the first guy that wore that kind of foot protection in your era? Was there somebody in particular that stands out?
No. The trainers were always trying to come up with a good solution, modify it.
Strike 3, and Markakis knew that. Wright gets his first man assigned, 1 out in the home 5th.
But I can tell you, from personal experience, it's hard to swing on the next pitch. It's hard to cut it loose when your foot is hurting so bad.
And you know the no sympathy rule. If you're a major league pitcher and a guy just fouls one off his foot, they're going right back there probably for that exact reason.
I would.
Flowers a strikeout, a walk, and a run. I wonder if baseball has experimented with, or any player has experimented with the World Cup in action. You know, the players wear shin guards during the World Cup and they run around. Why would not there be some sort of a device that nestles against the leg and in the socks and just leave it on all the time? I'm sure there's a reason. I just haven't heard.
You could probably get used to it.
One ball, two strikes.
Half the time, if a guy was wearing one and got a hit, you'd see him like running to second base and it's flopping around his legs, spinning around and coming loose.
That's into the seats, out of play to the right. Still 1-2 for the Braves catcher. Well, why isn't there some sort of a shock absorbent material that could be worn on top of the shoe that would be flexible?
Make it too heavy.
Well, that's obviously would be a drawback. Ow. Where'd that get him? Tyler Flowers hit on the helmet with a breaking ball. And he will thank his lucky stars that he had the head protection on after that pitch. He gave a thumbs up to George Poulos. The trainer is going to come out and walk him to first base just to make sure he knows what county he's in.
Absolutely. He's got to check on him. He appeared to be ducking at the same time as it hit him. Maybe it was more of a glancing blow. Let's hope so. And it was a curveball. Right on the ear hole, though.
You remember Jeff Pentland, old hitting coach with the Cubs and the Dodgers? He was Barry Bonds' hitting coach at Arizona State. He told me that he had a drill for his college players to avoid danger by turning exactly the way Tyler Flowers did. And the way he trained those players to do it, they put tennis balls in the pitching machine and train them to turn their head back toward the catcher instead of turning into it, where you expose the facial bones to a pitched ball. So it looks like Tyler, by doing that, avoided chance at serious injury.
No question.
So a runner at first, one out. Santana's 0 for 2. And a shot to right. Rasmus is right there, however, and makes the play. 2 out.
Another hard hit ball for Danny.
I was going to say, he may not have 5 hits in the series, but he's got at least 5 hard hit balls. And here's Charlie, a 2-run double. Those 2 runs, the biggest of the game right now. That's the margin of the lead for the Braves. A lazy, hazy summertime day in Atlanta. 5-3 Braves lead. Way outside, ball 2. Brandon McCarthy leads this game. Will he come out for the 6th? Has yet to be determined. Cincinnati's taken a 7-6 lead over the Cubs.
Boy, they're on fire.
Over but low, 3 balls and a strike. Dodgers lead the Mets 5-4. LA got 3 innings out of Clayton Kershaw last night. Jacob deGrom started, gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. The first time he'd given up as many as 3 runs in a game since April the 16th. Full count. Mets, though, have still lost 12 of their last 13 home games this season. And more bad news for them. Jason Vargas was supposed to start. He injured a calf muscle last night and was scratched. Rich Hill on the hill for LA. Runner goes. The pitch is strike 3 called, and that retires the side. Tyler Flowers hit by a pitch and left stranded. We head to the 6th.
Head into the 6th inning, and you know the Braves are playing good baseball right now, but they are so ready to get Ronald Acuna Jr. back, who is still rehabbing down in Gwinnett. And it's time for our Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Playing in his 3rd rehab game this afternoon. He'd made 1 start in left and 1 DHing. Today back in left and leading off, and right there you saw it, picking up his first hit of this rehab assignment in the 2nd inning. He also drew a walk. And Chip and Joe, you know, Acuna spoke after his game the other night, and he said that he was told he will for sure be there through the weekend, but there's a chance he could be back here tomorrow, as in Monday, but there's no official word from the Braves on what they're planning on doing.
Well, that'd be awesome. I remember him in Cincinnati hitting one in the 2nd deck there, his first home run, right?
It was.
So they remember him.
Well, it's remarkable he's even playing. We're 4 weeks today from injury. It was thought it would be a 4 to 6 week recovery period. Good to see him running the bases. Good to see him looking free and easy over in Gwinnett. As Shane Carl takes over and gives up a pop up to Manny Machado. Long run over near the tarp. Charlie staggers, dives, and can't come up. He's not afraid to go tumbling in the stands, as we know. We saw him make a great catch, I believe, in Colorado this year.
Exactly. Great effort.
And you notice none of those dastardly Orioles fans were saying, oh, you got room, keep coming. Unlike the really cool fans that are cheering on the Braves today. Balls in a strike for Machado. It was 0 for 2.
Shane Carl had a really good outing in the extra inning game on Friday night. 2 innings, no hits or runs. He walked 1, struck out 3. And Jim Palmer was talking to me about that and about him yesterday, saying, how do you get a guy like Shane Carl on cash considerations?
Well, they say cash is king, right?
Mm-hmm.
Line drive center and deep. Ender on a flat out sprint is going to catch it shy of the track. Or shy of the wall, I beg your pardon, and Machado's the first out. That guy knows everything you want to know about pitching.
Yes, he does. I was watching Manny Machado again, who was in his trot and not running hard. Yeah, that guy's pretty good. That career ERA, 2.86. That's pretty good, isn't it?
We don't see the Orioles very often because the way interleague play is currently configured. One thing that's always struck me about Jim Palmer, for a Hall of Famer and for a guy that's accomplished all that he has and what he means to the organization, how affable and approachable, how friendly and how down to earth he is. I mean, he's just a regular guy who had the good fortune to have a remarkable big league career, but does not wear that on his sleeve.
And you can talk to him about anything, any subject.
No balls and a strike. Another line drive to center, but this one will be played on a hop. Valencia is 1 for 3. And again, Baltimore will bring the tying run to the plate. It's Chris Davis, dangerous hitter.
Jim had an ongoing, I'll say, battle with his manager Earl Weaver, who was certainly combative, and Earl was probably all of about 5'8", Jim 6'4", 6'5". And Jim tells a great story about how when Earl would come to the mound to talk to him or take him out, he was always trying to get to the top spot on the mound, and Jim wouldn't let him because he wanted to somehow subsidize his shortness by being on the top of the mound.
A little bit of that Napoleon thing.
Yes, and Jim said, and I knew that. And the more he would circle, the more I would circle, and just pivot so that he couldn't get on the pitching rubber and keep him off and make him look that much shorter.
Could you imagine for a moment Earl Weaver managing in today's game?
No. Well, I'd love to see it.
Well, I mean, and I'm not saying that from a strategic standpoint or how to run a clubhouse or how to run a team, but how he would deal with the modern player.
There'd be a lot of guys sitting in front of their locker crying.
No balls at a strike for Davis. Shift on for him as Carl turns it loose. You've seen, I'm sure, all the old This Week in Baseball clips, the highlight reels of managerial ejections, and Earl Weaver going nose to nose with Ron Luciano over in the American League. Back in those days, before the umpires were integrated by league, if you will, it was always fun watching Earl go after Luciano, who had that pillow chest protector, and he almost used it like a shield to keep pushing him away when Weaver would try to go nose to nose with him.
Well, didn't Bobby Cox break Earl's record for ejections? Wasn't that?
Well, Bobby's got the record.
I know. I was thinking, though, he broke Earl Weaver's record. Earl had the most ejections until Bobby came along.
1 ball, 2 strikes for Chris Davis. And up the middle, right to the second base bag. Piece of cake, bad throw, and Freeman saved an error. That was a little harder than it should have been, but Carl gets the double play off the bat of Davis, and Atlanta's coming up in the home 6th. Corporal Francis A. Alden is our hometown hero today, and Coors Light and Fox Sports South salute the military and all of their remarkable efforts then and now all across the globe.
World War II veteran, Okinawa, highly decorated. Happy to have him here today so everybody can acknowledge his service.
Great cheer as Mr. Alden was circled around the bases in a good looking Ford pickup truck. As Johan Camargo leads off for Atlanta in a 5-3 game. It's a little too close for comfort with these thumpers in the Orioles lineup.
Has a little different Ford keys when you're talking about that truck.
That's slashed the other way. Camargo's going to have a base hit. Seems like the Braves' approach was opposite field a little more frequently today, and it served them well. That's their 8th hit of the game.
Stayed on that one. Stayed on that one beautifully. Little inside out. Head was very still.
So Flaherty will hit for Shane Carl, who worked a scoreless inning with a hit. And a belt tie strike 0-1. A little late. It's 0-2. Ryan always was and still is a very popular former Oriole. They were really sorry to lose him. He was there a long time. He and Mr. O'Day apparently had a very playful locker room relationship. Pranksters who like to tease each other in the locker room. And earlier in this series, there was a chance that O'Day and Flaherty were going to face off in game action, and Ryan said in the Baltimore newspapers, I don't know how I would have handled that. I think I probably would have been laughing too hard to have a good at bat. And fortunately for Flaherty, they walked him intentionally. That was in the 15 inning affair, I believe. As the shift is on, no balls, 2 strikes. He missed the inside corner, 1-2.
Here's what Buck Showalter does when he does put on a shift. He moved Valencia over to the hole between first and second so that his double play combination is still in place.
And that was an excellent pitch by Wright, too. This one popped up, and Machado will range to his left. And he makes the play for the first out. Hopefully we'll stay tuned for the middle of the 7th inning. It's the stretch presented by Advance Auto Parts. Reds will be our next opponent. Jerome and Nick will be previewing that Braves Red series to talk about their game today with the Cubs, which is a wild one in Cincinnati.
You mentioned, was it Winker that hit the 3-run homer?
Yes.
They've got some players, folks, that you may not know a whole lot about because of where they are in the standings and all that. They got some guys that can hit. A couple of outfielders that I really like.
They got a third baseman I like.
Yeah.
Eugenio Suarez.
Mm-hmm.
You all about Joey Votto, their first baseman. Double play ball hit to second. Uno and Dos takes care of Ender Inciarte and the Braves. We are off to the 7th.
Sponsored by your local Ford dealer, the Georgia Lottery, and by Synovus, the Bank of Here.
So here we go to the 7th inning at SunTrust. Braves chopping down the Orioles to this point. It's a 5-3 game. Jesse Biddle will be the third Atlanta hurler. He'll follow McCarthy and Carl. Jesse's been doing good work in relief. Let's see if he can put together a solid 7th and maybe a little work in the 8th inning as well, and keep this game right where it is, 5-3 Atlanta.
He worked 3 innings of relief Friday night, lowering that ERA. 3 innings, no hits or runs or walks, struck out 3. He has been awesome in long relief.
Scope is 0 for 2. He's going to be 0 for 3 if Ozzie makes a clean play. 1 pitch, 1 out. As you heard Kelsey say earlier, the Braves placed Arodys Vizcaino on the 10-day disabled list with discomfort in his shoulder. Mark Bowman of MLB.com reported Vizcaino got a cortisone shot to help try to calm down whatever's been ailing him there. And as a result, that means that A.J. Minter and Dan Winkler will probably get the first cracks at closing duties. Right now, this game would be a save situation if it stays a 2-run Atlanta lead.
Well, you know that Dan would like another shot at it after Friday night. By the way, Bobby broke John McGraw's record for ejections, not Earl Weaver's.
Yeah, Earl has the American League record of 94, I believe. And a story was published after Earl Weaver passed away on an Orioles team cruise. Said that it was never an act with Earl Weaver. He never got lost in the moment. He went out and argued a call. It's because, like Bobby Cox, he thought the umpire missed it and he was going to defend his players to the hilt.
I'm not 100% on this, but I think it was Earl who forfeited a game or was on the verge of forfeiting one in Toronto because of poor bullpen mound conditions.
Really?
Yeah. He would not allow his pitchers to work off of it because they were in such lousy shape, and might have earned a forfeit because of it.
Trey Mancini, the batter. He's 2 for 2 with a long home run today and a longer single. The homer went 417 feet. The single might have gone 400 feet, but it hit off the top of the bricks.
Chan is confirming that yes, he did.
Really?
Yeah, got a forfeit.
And Mancini walks and brings the tying run to the plate. After this top of the 7th, we'll have the stretch presented by Advance Auto Parts. So here's Wins.
First walk of the day by Braves pitchers. Brandon McCarthy, good work. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He had a good fastball, had some good sinking action on it to right-handed hitters. Couple of home runs on some hanging sliders that you'd like to have back.
Double play ball. This one much more effectively turned.
Yeah, it was.
So back-to-back double plays to the shortstop Camargo. The first one 6-3 with a line under it because there was a shift. That one off the bat of the catcher. A standard 6-3 inning-ending twin killing. So good work by Jesse Biddle in his first inning of relief. A mere minimum of pitches. Big crowd with us here at SunTrust Park in Atlanta as we approach 4 o'clock Eastern time. As is customary here, Timothy Miller, great guy with a great voice, will stride to the center of the diamond and regale us with his performance of God Bless America as we wrap up this series with the Orioles and get set for the Reds tomorrow.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
On the Cincinnati Reds, and those signs are always worth reading. Vote for Ozzie. Vote for your favorite Braves. The Major League Baseball All-Star voting is online. Go to braves.com/vote. We got three worthy candidates coming up here in the home seventh: Albies, Freeman, and Markakis. Braves could use a little insurance. Albies, the hottest hitter in this series, 9 hits. All of them singles, 4 hits yesterday, 3 singles today.
6 in a row.
And that's going to end as Davis will try to outrace him to the bag, and he did. And there's out number 1. Wright's done a nice job in relief. This is his 3rd inning. He's had 2 base runners, a hit batsman and a single, but a double play got him out of trouble in the 6th.
I like his delivery. I like his windup and how he has a little shoulder and hip turn and hides the ball well. Very deceiving. That way, Freddie.
Wright's from Braves country, born in Bennettsville, South Carolina, lives in Laurel Hill, North Carolina, went to East Carolina University. He's got all the Carolinas covered, I guess.
He sure does.
You could say.
With no double play in order, Valencia stays over on the left side of the diamond while Machado and Scope are in their shift on the right side.
At first glance, you'd say Wright looks like a sneaky quick pitcher. He's quick. That was 94 miles an hour. That one 93 and fouled back. 2 balls and a strike. Excuse me, 2 balls, 2 strikes for Freddie Freeman. Cloud cover beginning to make its way across the ballpark. Chance of showers later this afternoon as Freddie didn't get a changeup. 79 miles an hour.
94 to 79. Same delivery, same motion. That's pretty good stuff right there.
And he's got his 3rd strikeout in as many innings pitched. Here's Markakis. Nick, a run scoring double in the 3rd. He's also picked up RBI number 49. 98 hits for Nick. This is 76th game. Line drive toward left. That is fair and into the stands. It'll be a double. 99 hits for Markakis. 6 hits against his former club.
You think he's enjoying this?
Well, he's not. We sure are.
Yeah. 2 doubles just today, a double yesterday, and a double on Friday. And the Orioles giving him a lot of grief out there at second base, of course, in an affectionate matter, I'm sure.
Scopes letting him have it. Machado let him have it a second ago. As Tyler Flowers, the hitter. And takes off the plate. Ball 1. Braves entered action today with 137 runs scored with 2 outs. They're up to 139. Culberson's 3rd inning double came with 2 outs and scored runs 4 and 5 today. As my partner said, there's been nothing wrong with the Atlanta offense in this series. There was really nothing wrong with the Atlanta offense up in Toronto.
Nope.
And today allowing just 3 runs to this point. A little more like it for the Braves staff. Good pitch, 1-2.
Nothing wrong with the offense in this regard. That 5 runs ought to be enough.
Right.
Have there been opportunities to make it 6 or 7 or 8 runs? Yes, but you can't fault them for not getting all those runs in when they've had runners in scoring position when you're still pushing 5 across. Braves got a much needed start from Brandon McCarthy today that gave him a chance to put some runs on the board early.
Sharply hit to first. It's a race to the bag again. Davis will win that. And 3 very impressive innings for Mr. Wright. He keeps the Braves at bay. It's 5-3 going to the 8th.
Cincinnati here at SunTrust Park. We told you a moment ago they're hitting an awful lot of home runs. That was the case again today. Our Xfinity game break takes you up to Cincinnati, where the Cubs had a 5-1 lead at one point, but the Reds started to inch their way back. Jesse Winker, a 3-run home run in the 7th. They kept adding on in that frame. You'll see Joey Votto come up to the plate, and he will rip a double to right center. Jay Hay tracks it down, but there will be a play at the plate. They challenged it, but they upheld it. The run did score. Cincinnati rallies from down 5-1 to win 8-6. They are rolling, Chip and Joe.
They are. They've won 7 straight. And they just clobbered the Cubs. 11-2 yesterday, 8-6 today. 19 runs against the Cubs the last 2 games. So that'll be the challenge for Atlanta. Keep the Reds' high-flying offense in gear here tomorrow night. Still need 6 outs to get today, as it will be Jace Peterson to pinch hit against Dan Winkler for Atlanta.
Kind of hoping to see Jace get a start in this series, but it didn't happen. He did play quite a bit in the 15-inning affair, however.
The wind begins to pick up and blows more briskly from right to left. That's the direction of the thunder showers more often than not. Hopefully they'll stay away. Peterson, Rasmus, and Adam Jones coming up. And fouled to the Atlanta dugout.
Rough outing for Dan Winkler in the 9th inning Friday night, filling in for Vizcaino to close the game out. A third of an inning, 3 hits, a walk, and all of them scored, 4 of them.
Peterson hitting for Wright, who had 3 scoreless innings of relief today. Ground ball short. Tough play. Long throw. And a stretch. Saved him. What a play. Strong arm. Great stretch. Peterson out by an eyelash.
Playing him up the middle, too. He had to really range to his right. You know he's got a great arm, but from there you can't get much on the throw, so you got to have a little help on the other end. An old bobblehead Freddie Freeman stretch right there.
By the way, did you see the commercial the Braves ran for his bobblehead with the yoga?
Yes, I did.
People, it was great.
It was good.
Very well done. Here's Rasmus. Infield hit for him back in the 5th inning. One thing apparent to me in Winkler's outing now, as opposed to the one the other night, is how much more in control he is with his delivery. Remember how he was flying off the mound, really amped up in his save opportunity.
There were a couple of times where he was spun around and he was facing center field, and I was afraid he had hurt himself.
But that's the kind of outing that I'm sure Dan will take as a learning experience. He's got the stuff to close. He just hasn't done a lot of it. That would have been his first professional save at any level as a pitcher. Fouled away. 2 balls and a strike.
I've heard Tom Glavine talk about this so many times, about especially when you're amped up and adrenaline is flying through you like it probably was for Dan the other night, that instead of trying to throw harder, you need to back off a little bit.
Pulled to first. That may have skipped off the bag. Took a funny hop, but Freddie stayed with it. 2 outs.
At Rooms to Go, you can go any way you want. Go style, go savings, go today.
Adam Jones, the batter. He's 1 for 3, a double and 2 swinging strikeouts. Jones, a terrific hitter, but you know how good Winkler has been against right-handed hitters this year. They have not done much. Righties are 11 for 71. That's a 155 mark. But that won't help. He drills him in the back leg. So again, Baltimore brings the tying run to the plate, and it's Mr. Machado.
That was ill-timed.
It was the front leg, not the back leg.
It hurt.
Well, Machado rescued the Orioles in the 15-inning affair. He hit a home run off Peter Moylan on an 0-2 pitch right down the left field line at 3:35 sign. Do not need one of those here. Ball one.
I know it's blasphemous to talk this way, especially among us old schoolers, where you risk putting the tying run on base. Wouldn't hurt me at all if they walked him.
Nope. With all due respect to Valencia, who's on deck.
Right.
They've already used Trumbo, and he's hit a home run. And Winkler had a little extra on that pitch, out of control at release, but got a strike. Fouled away, a ball and 2 strikes now. He had a good crowd today, 33,794. In a year where bad weather and, quite frankly, some tanking teams has taken some of the starch out of the big league attendance figures, the Braves count themselves among the fortunate clubs to see an attendance increase on average. Braves are drawing almost 2,000 fans more per game this year over last year. 5th biggest attendance increase in the major leagues.
Yeah, that's significant. So he's ahead in the count here, and he made a little bit of a too good a pitch there on a 1-2 count. It was 0-2 off Moylan when he hit the home run.
Don't always have to throw a strike to get one. But Machado, a pretty patient hitter. 1-2. That one all the way to this backstop. It ricochets off the umpire's foot, and no advance by Jones, who apparently was screened by Freeman on the play and didn't see how far the ball bounced.
Well, Tyler was set up away, and he was ready, but this was bouncing in the left-handed batter's box, and you don't know what it's going to do when it bounces. And neither does anybody else off that brick wall.
So it's 2-2 for Machado. That hung up there. It was fouled off the umpire's gear.
It did, and it was in also, but in enough that he couldn't get the barrel on it.
Ooh. Right in the center of the chest of Ryan Addison. It might have gotten a piece of the neck protective flap as well. Two and two. Chop toward third. Charlie's got it. He'll go to second, and the stretch in time. And that retires Machado and the Orioles. Atlanta pitches around a hit batsman, maintains a 2-run lead. SunTrust confidence play.
(17-8), 40 homers, 3.43 ERA in day games. Even better numbers in a way at home on those day games, I believe. 7-3, 10-5 on the road.
So Brad Brock is going to come on and work the 8th inning. Baltimore will have their 4, 5, and 6 hitters coming up in the 9th. As Danny Santana lifts one a mile high and a mile deep right side and foul for strike 1. Dodgers and Mets are tied 7-7. New York batting in the bottom of the 9th inning. Arizona leads the Pirates 3-0. Cardinals 8-2 over the Brewers. That game's in the 8th. Miami and Colorado not yet started. This one lifted left side and in foul ground. And with the glasses gleaming, Mancini makes the play. Santana pops out. Reds are here tomorrow night. You heard Jerome talk about the high-flying Reds offense. Jim Riggleman has done an incredible job with that Cincinnati club. The Reds today won their 32nd game. They started the year 8-27. The Reds are 24-18 since.
They've got to be pleased.
Jim Riggleman is a baseball lifer who I believe is on his 4th interim managerial assignment in the major leagues. If the Reds keep playing like this, I wonder if Walt Jocketty and company will take the interim tag off for Jim Riggleman, who's, you give him a team, he can run a game.
Yes, he can. And I would think that he's already earned that, getting that interim off there. They came into the game today against the Cubs 3rd in the league in average, 7th in runs scored, 9th in homers, 2nd in on base percentage.
And all of a sudden their pitching's come around. DeSclafani is back. We know about Molly. We know about Sal Romano. He pitched well against Atlanta. Matt Harvey's been a lot better in Cincinnati colors than he was in New York. They both like Castillo a lot.
Braves made 75 errors. The Reds have made 76. They are 6th in the league defensively. Their pitching, their ranks for pitching are all down near the bottom. So anything they've done lately to try to improve those are not going to affect their league rankings too much.
No. Swing and a miss by Culberson, who's tagged out. That's out number 2.
Charlie wanted a foul ball called,
but he's not going to get it. And Johan Camargo will be the final hope for Atlanta in the inning. So the Reds are here. Here's your Sherwin-Williams pitching matchup tomorrow. It'll be good to see Mike Foltynewicz back in the starting 5.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see him back out there. You know, he'll be breathing fire when he first goes out there. 199 average against him so far on the year. Comparable number of walks to Tyler Mahle and a ton of strikeouts for Folty as well.
You have a sub-4 ERA and you're pitching in Cincinnati, you're good.
No kidding.
And Mahle was very good against the Braves up in Cincinnati. What we noticed immediately was his ability, as Joe said yesterday or Friday, his ability to add and subtract off his fastball.
Yeah, he did a great job of pitching.
Ground ball up the middle. Scopes going to give up after a couple of steps to his right. And Camargo has a 2-hit game. And Dansby Swanson will pinch hit for Dan Winkler, who worked a scoreless 8th inning. It's been a rough June for the Brave shortstop at the plate. But to his credit, whatever offensive woes Dansby's going through have not been reflected in his work at shortstop.
No, he's had a brilliant couple of games against Baltimore. Defensively, he was all over the place.
Quickly 0-2. A.J. Minter is the Braves relief pitcher getting ready for the 9th inning. Valencia, Davis, and Scope, the 3 hitters. They're the 4, 5, 6 men for the Orioles. The 1-2 pitch. Just missed. Brad Brock might be an intriguing trade candidate should Baltimore decide to move him. Everybody's looking for quality relief in the middle months of the year. Now the 2-2. Swing and a fly ball down the left field line. Did he keep it fair? He kept it fair. A pinch hit homer for Dansby.
That's only the 2nd home run Brad Brock has allowed this year. He's been their closer in the absence of Zach Britton. He's got good stuff, but made a mistake in. Change up.
Dansby's never had trouble getting to that pitch or the fastball up and in. And a long 2-run homer gives the Braves some much needed breathing room. It's now 7-3. And how about the managers today? Buck Showalter gets a pinch hit homer from Mark Trumbo. Brian Snitker gets a pinch hit homer from Dansby Swanson. And now it's a 7-3 Atlanta lead.
And you're right, those are 2 big runs.
Little tapper at the plate. And 2-2 for Ender Inciarte. Ender's had a good series. 4 hits. 4 runs scored. Do it again. 2-2.
Guys who lead off enjoy leading off because they feel like they can somehow set the tone for the whole game, and in many ways they can. Ender likes that. Ender likes that opportunity to set the tone. And back in the leadoff spot, he's had a real good series.
This man had 200 hits last year for the Braves. Or a 200 hit season, I should say. They got off to a slow start, but looks to be warming up with the warmer weather. Two balls, 2 strikes. And a ground ball right side. Davis backhand. Brock races to the bag and gets there just in time. More 2-out offense from the Atlanta Braves. 4 of their 7 runs today with 2 outs. And we head to the 9th inning. It's a 4-run lead, 7-3, thanks to Dansby's pinch hit homer. And online, vote for your favorite Braves. Freddie Freeman, Nick Markakis, Ender Inciarte, Ozzie Albies, and others. At Braves.com/vote. The excitement of the 89th MLB All-Star Game is presented by MasterCard July 17th and live on Fox. Pinch hit homer hitting man Dansby Swanson's into play short. Johan Camargo moves to Dansby's right to play third base. And A.J. Minter is on to finish off the game. The lead is too big for a save, but valuable ninth inning experience for A.J. here. With Valencia, Davis, and Scope coming up.
He was the first guy out of the bullpen Friday night. Worked an inning, gave up a hit, but no runs, struck out a batter.
One ball, one strike for Valencia. Here it comes. Good pitch, 1-2.
Nasty cutter.
Well, how about the Tampa Bay Rays? They're giving the Yankees everything they can handle. Beat them yesterday, and they're tied with them today, 6-6. Kevin Cash might deserve some Manager of the Year consideration. The Rays are 4 games under 500, believe it or not. Although my vote would go to Ron Gardenhire if I had to vote one in the American League.
Right.
Division leaders in the American League. Yankees by a game over Boston. Cleveland by 7 over the Tigers. Houston by 3.5 over Seattle. And the 1-2 pitch with the bases empty is on the way. And it's popped up. Freddie Freeman in the first base coaching box has all kinds of room. Valencia is out, number 1.
Visit Synovus for your banking, lending, and investing needs. Synovus, the bank of here.
Chris Davis, the batter, 0 for 3. He's hit into a double play and struck out today. And Atlanta will employ a shift on him. That's right where Tyler wanted the pitch, but ball 1 was the call. A little tardy, even count.
Buck Showalter's got to be pleased, though, with the improvement he's seen in Davis just in this series alone.
One pitch, and he was fooled there. And Camargo handles at third base with the shift on, 2 out. Well, one thing I'll say about Chris Davis, he's a pro's pro. He's been around a long time. And Baltimore has to figure out how to make it work with him because he signed through the 2022 season. And with his contract and his struggles, it would take a miracle to be able to move that contract and that performance. So hopefully Chris will get things going after the Orioles leave town. Here's Scope, final hope. He's 0 for 3, 2 for 14 in the series. And downstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. Minter has good stuff, good command today. 10 pitches, 7 strikes. That will be key to watch during this period without Vizcaino able to close. Whoever does get a closing chance cannot walk people. And now the Braves a strike away from taking game 3.
He's done a good job today. 4 innings, they've only given up 1 hit.
They went 4 1/3 with no runs yesterday. And now what's left of 33,000 stand and applaud as Scope awaits a 1-2 pitch. And we'll do it again. .430 here in Atlanta. As Minter's ready with his 1-2. Here it comes. It's popped up center of the diamond. Dansby says he's got it, and he does. And the Braves secure a 7-3 victory over Baltimore. Phillies and Washington play later on tonight. Atlanta's going to gain ground on someone. For the moment, the lead in the East is 2 games over the Phillies, who play the Nationals later on the Sunday night game. But Joe, nice rebound for Atlanta. McCarthy started it. The bullpen 4 shutout innings and offense again.
Good pitching. Yeah, they got their runs that they normally get, but today they got a great pitching effort from McCarthy and the bullpen. Glided home.
So it's a final score in Atlanta, 7-3. Braves beat Baltimore. We'll recap game 3 and get you set for a big series with the Reds starting tomorrow night on Braves Live, presented by Xfinity next.